To make our fruit salad, we only need a few simple ingredients. We're going to use an apple, a pear, a kiwi, an orange, a banana, some strawberries, pineapple, dried cranberries, and for just a little extra sweetness and a different pop of color, marshmallows. The equipment for our fruit salad includes a cutting board. We will need the chef's knife and a paring knife, a zester, kitchen shears. We'll need a nice looking bowl to serve our fruit salad from, and a slotted spoon if you have one to drain the juice as it's served. And we're going to use that as our mixing bowl as well. And then additionally we will need a juicer and a bowl or a measuring cup or a custard cup to catch the juice. To begin our fruit salad, we are first going to zest our orange. And when we zest the orange, we take the zester and we cut just small strips off the outside of the orange itself. We're just going to let those drop right into our mixing bowl. One pass around should be plenty. So just small cuts across the surface of the orange, because there's a lot of oils, aromatic oils in the surface of a citrus fruit, so like lemons, limes, even grapefruits. So it adds a lot of flavor to anything that you make. So we'll move our bowl, and now our next step is going to be to take our chef's knife and to cut our orange in half. Now it's really important that you cut this in half from not top to bottom, but across across the center. Has to look like a wagon wheel in order to juice. So we'll take our orange and we'll set it on the juicer. We'll put the center on the very point, and then we are going to just push and twist to get the juice released from the orange itself. And you can see in my bowl I have the juice, and we go from this to this in the way of what the orange looks like. So we're going to go ahead and juice the second half of the orange, and we do this first because the citric acid in the orange juice is going to help prevent some of our fruits from enzymatic browning, from turning brown because of their exposure to oxygen. So it's going to help our pear, apple, and our banana to stay their proper color. So the next item that we are going to cut is our pear. And we're going to start out with the chef's knife after we remove the stem. And we're going to cut it into quarters. So we're going to cut it from the top to the bottom, down the center, and then I'm going to place it flat side down on my cutting board, because this is going to be a lot safer. It doesn't move. Or if I had it this way, it'd be moving around and it'd be more difficult to cut. So then again, I'm going to do top to bottom with the chef's knife. And then we're going to switch to the paring knife to remove the core. A pear has a core just like an apple. We're going to cut that out of each of the 4 pieces. Now if you're not comfortable holding it, you can set it to the side, put the tip of the paring knife on the cutting board, and drag it along to cut the core out of your pear. We're going to cut our pear into medium dice. So a medium dice is a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch. So in order to do that, we're going to cut 1/2 inch strips from our pear. Remember to keep the fingers on your guiding hand, your non-knife hand, curled back under, so they stay out of the way of the knife and don't get cut. Your knuckles can go right up to the knife. That lets you know where the knife is. So each of these are about a 1/2 inch. And then if we have any, if your pear is really large, you may need to additionally cut that column. And then we're going to lay it down, and we're going to do 1/2 inch squares, 1/2 inch down the column to create 1/2 inch squares of pear. We're not going to square it off, we're not going to waste the fruit, but we're going to get close. So there's our 1/2 inch dice pear, or medium dice pear. Now for our apple, I've also cut it into quarters and removed the core, just like I did for the pear. And now I'm going to julienne the apple. So it's going to look about like matchsticks, which gives dimensions of about 2 inches by 1/8 by 1/8. So it's going to be a longer bar, it's not going to be a cube. So we're going to start with our cored apple. We're going to leave the peel on, and I'm going to make 1/8 inch slices is my goal. So they're going to be nice and thin. Notice how I keep the tip of the knife down on the board. Notice how I am choked up on the knife. My 3 fingers go under the heel, but my forefinger and my thumb are actually on the blade. That gives me more control. My guiding hand, my fingers are curled back. Okay, so then I'm going to take as many slices as I'm comfortable working with at a time. And I'm going to stack those up. And I'm going to cut 1/8 inch again. And again, the tip stays on the board. So I get these little tiny sticks of apple that are just going to blend nicely in. These are a little bit longer than 2 inches. If you had a smaller apple, it would probably work out exactly. But again, we're just going to take those slices, make 1/8 inch cuts again. And then if we wanted to be more precise, we would cut these into 2 inches long, because a julienne cut is 2 inches by 1/8 by 1/8. And then we do want to get that into our bowl of juice fairly quickly and stir that as I did the pear. I'm going to get that coated in that orange juice that we fresh squeezed, so that it keeps the apple from turning brown. Because while it would be fine to eat, it doesn't look very good. It doesn't look fine to eat. So once more, that tip is on the board, choked up on the knife, 1/8 inch cuts. Tip does not leave the board. That gives you more control over your knife. Notice it's a push down, draw back motion. So kind of a rocking motion when you get into a rhythm. And then we take those slices, as many as we're comfortable working with, and 1/8 of an inch again, because we're going for that julienne cut. Get those nice little matchsticks. Now we're going to work with our kiwi, and ultimately we're going to get our kiwi down to a small dice, and we may need to, we'll use both of the knives that we've picked out for this recipe. So I'm going to use the chef's knife to cut off the top and the bottom of the kiwi. But I like the paring knife for peeling it, and I just simply stand it up and use the paring knife to follow the curve of the fruit. You could eat the skin of the kiwi. I have known only one person that chooses to do that, but it is possible. It's kind of a different texture. So I think most people probably peel their kiwis before they eat them, or eat them out of the peel. So we'll clean our cutting board, keep it safe. Now I'm going to switch back to that chef's knife, and I'm going to cut this into 4 columns. So 1, 2, oh, I might make 5 out of this, because I want these to be 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So I've got 1/4 inch slices, and then I'm going to go the next direction and make 1/4 inch columns. And if I wanted a bâtonnet, I would stop here because I have about 2 inches by 1/4 by 1/4, but I want small dice. So I'm going to take those 1/4 by 1/4 by 2 inch columns and cut down 1/4 inch at a time, leaving the tip of my knife on my cutting board. So that nice little piece of kiwi that'll give just a little pop of color in the fruit salad. The next fruit that we're going to cut into is our pineapple, and we are going to make this a large dice. So we're going to take our fresh pineapple, and we're going to cut off the bottom, and we're going to cut off the top. And you always want to keep your cutting board clean. That's a safety thing when cutting, is to keep your work area clean. This looks like it was bruised a little on the bottom, so we're going to cut that part off. So to work with a fresh pineapple, we're going to cut it. We're only going to put about 1/4 of it into the recipe. Set those other pieces aside. And when you look at it, you can see a difference in color here from the very point to about 1/4 of an inch back, right along this line. And that is the core, which is a very fibrous piece. So we're going to cut that off. And then to make it a little bit safer, a little sturdier, to remove the skin, I cut it in half so it's not as wobbly. I'm going to cut the skin off and dispose of that. And then we're going to cut this into large dice. Dice tells us that it's a cube, so it's the same on all sides. And a large dice is 3/4 of an inch. So about 3/4 of an inch, just under an inch, is what we're looking for. Bigger than that 1/2 inch that we did on the pear. Okay, so I've got this about 3/4 of an inch wide. So now I'm going to make this about 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to go this last direction, again 3/4 of an inch. Put that into our fruit bowl. And you can work with this in layers if you're comfortable, although it does tend to be more slippery than the apple. Again, when you're moving down that pineapple, you want the tip of your knife to stay on the board. Okay, so 3/4, 3/4. So we get that nice size cube of pineapple. It's still easily eaten, and it gives us practice on a different knife cut. So 3/4 of an inch for your dice, for your large dice for your pineapple. Next, we'll cut our strawberries, and this is going to be all paring knife. So we're going to take our strawberries that we've washed off already. I'm going to cut off the top, and I'm going to throw that away. Then I'm going to stand my strawberries up on end, and we're going for a bâtonnet cut on these. So bâtonnet is 2 inches by 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So we're going to have nice larger sticks of strawberries. They should be about twice as wide as our apples. So I'm going to take my strawberry, and I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch in. So I'll make 1/4 of an inch slices. And then I'll take those slices and lay them down and cut 1/4 of an inch again, so that I have about 2 inches. I'm just going to go the height of the strawberry, but by 1/4 by 1/4. So you can see how the strawberry compares to the apple. It's a little bit bigger. All right. So 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch by 2 inches gives us a bâtonnet. So the next fruit that we're going to cut is our dried cranberries, and we are going to mince those so that they're in smaller pieces. Some people object to them, but we're going to make them very small, and so they'd be really easy to kind of get lost, but they'll still add a little bit of color, another texture, and a lot of nutrients. So when we mince, again, we are choked up on that knife. 3 fingers, last 3 fingers under the heel on the handle. The tip goes on the board and stays, and you use your guiding hand to hold the tip in place, and you rock back and forth across the food that you're mincing. And then you will find that you need to gather it back together, but you always push with the spine, the unsharpened edge of the blade, not the blade itself. Because if you push with the blade, you dull the knife. So holding the tip in place, rocking back and forth across our food item here, our dried cranberries, and then to push it back together, to go one more time, we turn the knife over and push with the spine. So you can see these have gotten really tiny. Now I am going to use my bench scraper to clean off my knife so that I don't have to put my hand right there by the blade. And it also can be really handy to transfer fruits or foods that you've cut. So there are our craisins. The next item that we're going to cut for our fruit salad is not a fruit at all. We're going to cut these marshmallows, and we're going to use kitchen shears for those. So kitchen shears, I'm going to cut these into about 8. Kitchen shears are specially made and should only be used for kitchen tasks so that they don't get cross-contaminated with anything else. If the marshmallows get stuck, the acidic properties of the fruit juice, will clean them right off to enable you to continue cutting the marshmallows. And the marshmallows will dissolve a little bit and just kind of sweeten the fruit salad, and it adds one more color into the recipe. And really the reason the marshmallows are in here, this fruit salad is all about knife cuts and helping you begin to understand what the different cuts are and the different cutting tools that you have for your kitchen. So that's why the marshmallows are in here, so that you see the shears. Now, some kitchen shears stay all together. I like this particular pair because it comes apart, so it makes it super easy to clean well, and then it goes right back together. And you can wash them by hand, or you can even put them in the dishwasher if you want to. But those are our kitchen shears. It should be, they should not be used for anything other than food tasks in your kitchen. Here to the very last fruit for our fruit salad. And for that we have the banana, and the banana is last because it browns the easiest. So we want to, if I were going to serve this for a family dinner, I could make all of this ahead, but I would wait until I was ready to serve it to cut the banana and stir it in. So we're going to peel the banana, and then we are going to use a paring knife. Honestly, a butter knife would be fine. And we're going to cut this into what I refer to as rondelles. So a rondelle is a round, it's a circle cut that's about 1/4 of an inch thick we're just taking our paring knife, going down the banana that we've peeled. And I did wash the peel off, because when you peel it, you then handle the banana, so that way we washed anything off of the peel so it wouldn't transfer. And then that's gonna get added, stirred into our fruit salad, and we'll be ready to serve. So I do have one more fruit and tool that I'd like to show you. This is a honeydew melon. This is the green melon that you see sometimes on melon plates. I'm gonna cut that in half. Notice the seeds that are in the center. That's very similar to a cantaloupe melon. Very different from a watermelon. We're just gonna take a spoon and gently scoop those seeds out and dispose of those. And anything that would have held seeds also we're gonna get rid of. And then we're gonna use, technically this is referred to as a Craisins scoop, but most people refer to it as a melon baller. And to get the full ball shape out of the melon, you have to press the Craisins scoop into the flesh of the fruit and then quick turn, and you get a nice round ball of melon. And you just put it right next to where you just cut, and that quick turn. And this works with cantaloupes, with watermelons, cassava melons. So really, it's not gonna work with much other than melon. Here's our finished fruit salad, ready to serve. We've gone through several different fruits, a variety of knife cuts, and used several different cutting tools properly in order to make this beautiful, colorful fruit salad.